Well, hello there. It is me, the Drinker, and hail to all you wonderful people out there. Welcome to the Drinker's Lair in the daytime. I know, it's weird. We sometimes get this in Scotland. I do want to say, actually, I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get round to this Super Chat catch-up. It's just, man, it's been a crazy week. It's the run-up to Christmas. There's a lot going on, and I just hadn't had time to get round to it. But since it's now Thursday and we're going to be doing a whole new open bar in like a few hours, I had to get it done, man. I had to get these super chats answered because you people have been generous enough to ask me all these questions and send me this stuff. So I'm going to do my best to illuminate you now. Look, I've got my mug of coffee and everything. And this contains actual coffee for a change, not just thinly disguised whiskey. So anyway, without further ado, allow me to get into the super chats. The first one that we have here is from Marcus, who said, Studio Ghibli's forgotten movie, 1988's Grave of the Fireflies, is one of the saddest, most poignant anime movies that I've ever seen. Never made it to Netflix due to rights issues. Highly recommend it. Yes, I've still got that on DVD somewhere, actually, because I've got quite a few of the Studio Ghibli collection. And yeah, damn, man, that movie hits you like a ton of bricks. It does not pull any punches. It's set in like the aftermath of the bombings of Japan. So yeah, straight away, you know, it's going to be a hard-hitting thing, and it is done really damn well. So, yeah, highly recommended if you can get your hands on it. Samson the Mighty says, fun fact, did you know that David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the suit in the original trilogy, was the personal trainer of Christopher Reeves for the Superman movie? Vader trained Superman. Thoughts? I think that's fantastic. Yeah, David Prowse had an interesting career. He was a bodybuilder, pretty good one back in the day, actually. I mean, this was the days before, you know, bodybuilders became these like big roided up mass monsters. So, you know, he wouldn't be comparable to the bodybuilders of today, but obviously still a massive dude. He was in A Clockwork Orange as well. He was like the personal servant of like the rich guy whose house they break into and terrorize him and his wife. So yeah, he had little roles, and it's interesting because A Clockwork Orange, especially, you get to hear him speak in his actual real West Country accent. So yeah, it's quite interesting. He definitely doesn't have the big booming James Earl Jones voice that you associate with Darth Vader. And yeah, we've all seen the videos of like when they were doing the actual recordings on the day, you know, for Star Wars, and Prowse was just reciting his lines, you know, inside the suit, and then it would get overdubbed by James Earl Jones later, and it's kind of hilarious. Obviously, the audio pickup is shit anyway, because he's just like trying to yell this thing from inside a really tight mask, so it sounds crap anyway. But man, that accent. Yeah, he was raging as well, because in Return of the Jedi, he'd originally been told that he was going to get to play the scene where, you know, the mask comes off and you get to see the real, you know, Anakin Skywalker beneath it for a minute or so before he passes away. But again, they wanted an actor with a bit of gravitas who could actually pull that scene off. And so, you know, it got quietly done without him. And he was not a happy boy. And I think he kind of like severed ties with Lucasfilm after that, never really had much more involvement with them. Samson the Mighty also says, Drinker and Mauler, I'm going to start my own review channel in the new year. I have questions. If you guys could, I email you and get the real scoop. I mean, I can do my best to help you out. If you've got specific questions, like, my emails are rather full these days, as you can probably imagine. So I don't always get to everyone, or, you know, as quickly as I would like. So I will do my best to help you out, but I wish you the best of luck with your new channel, man. Avarith says, this is a three-parter as well. I think House of Usher suffers from predeterminism. The family died badly because a deal was made. I feel this removed the tension of them getting a chance to not die by doing the right thing. Okay, so you bring up kind of different points with each super chat, so I'll just answer them individually. I mean, yeah, like to some extent, the story isn't so much about like could they have avoided their fates or whatever. Like it was predetermined. It's a question of, well, what impact did this deal have on their own lives? Because Death explains at one point that had they not become this crazy multi-billionaire conglomerate, you know, dynasty, effectively, a lot of the kids would have grown up to live pretty happy, normal lives. You know, they would have been dentists or poets or all kinds of just normal jobs, and they would have been happy people. And so, did their life of wealth and privilege ultimately turn them into these assholes that you see on screen? You know, it seems like it probably did. I talked to Mahler about this. You know, could they have avoided their fates? Or, for example, if the ushers had used this deal and the wealth and success that came with it, if they had used it for the benefit of humanity, like if they had made nothing but good decisions all the way along and really tried to improve the world around them, would death still have held them to that deal? And yeah, she probably would have, but like the deaths would have been peaceful, and they wouldn't have. She wouldn't have allowed them to suffer, I think. But ultimately, you know, it's a story of human corruption, the thirst for power, our willingness to sacrifice the happiness of others or the future of others for our own success. There's a lot to chew on there, and I think, yeah, I didn't mind the fact that it was predetermined. It was more like a Final Destination kind of thing. Like, what gory way is this person going to die? You know. He also says, also Death lecturing Freddy didn't work because she determined his path. This is shown by the fact that she says in the other life, you were also you were X. Right, sorry. She didn't, that's what I guess that ties into what I said before. She didn't determine his path. She didn't make him become the person that he is. She gave the ushers, especially Roderick and Madeline, the opportunity to become rich and powerful and successful. But what they ultimately did with that and how they treated their children was up to them. And like I say, they could potentially have made really good moral choices with their lives, and they could have, you know, made a positive difference to the world and perhaps raised their kids differently, in which case we wouldn't have turned out to be an asshole. None of them would. They might have turned out to be good people. She still would have come for them and claimed them ultimately, but she would have done it in a less malicious way than what she did. And he says also, Death preaching the loss of innocent life when she killed all the innocent party people, she didn't compel to leave before the accident. Again, like, she didn't have to compel anyone to leave. She was there to just make sure that things played out the way they did. Ultimately, the son, and I can't remember his name. Is it Napoleon? His name? Anyway, yeah, the first one to die in that party scene. Again, he engineered all of that. He told everyone to be there. He sent out all the invites. He connected up the water sprinkler system to the tanks of fucking toxic chemicals in the ceiling because he didn't bother to check it. He didn't care about the safety of his guests. All he cared about was the end result. And he was doing all of this so that he could get dirt on all these people. He would record them doing all these depraved acts so that he could then have leverage over them. Again, she didn't force any of that to happen. And if she told everyone to leave, then like he wouldn't have died because he wouldn't have bothered turning on the sprinkler systems because there would have been no one there. So I kind of see her as, I guess she would prefer to be passive in what happens. Like, she just lets things play out the way that they normally would. She does, however, give certain characters a helping hand, you know, and you can see her get more or less involved in certain people's fates if they need a nudge. But ultimately, she's going to make it happen one way or another. Northern English Bastard says, to Drinker, Mahler, and your awesome guests, name your favorite dark Christmas movies. Also, great to see the lovely Baggage Claim guesting again. Thank you, man. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to have Baggage Claim on. She's always a great guest. Dark Christmas movies, I don't know, would Nightmare Before Christmas count? I mean, that's just more dark, like, you know, in the aesthetics of it, I suppose. Trying to think what else. Does Edward Scissorhands count as a dark Christmas movie? I think it's set around Christmas. I'm going to go with that. Yeah. Tim Burton excels at those dark fairy tale kind of ideas. Mega Spidey-Man says, hello there to everyone. Who's your favorite Doctor and why? With good writing, who would you most want to be the Doctor? I mean, it's probably going to be Tom, isn't it? Like, he's the safe choice. Yeah, he just had that manic energy about him. You know, the crazy eyes, the wild curly hair, the eccentric dress sense. you know, he was like the quintessential Doctor for a lot of people. I also quite like Peter Davidson's version. And forgive me, I forget all the numbers because, you know, I tend to get lost. But again, I liked him because at the time he was kind of young compared to a lot of the other Doctors. Again, he had a lot of kind of quirky, cool energy about him. And he just had a nice manner. You know, I felt like he was a comfortable Doctor for a lot of people. Probably the one that was around when I was like growing up. So, no, I did quite like him. Yeah, and obviously David Tennant is a pretty easy choice too in terms of the modern era. I don't think many people would dispute that he was the best. Although, damn man, he seems to be determined to trash that legacy now. Colehauser says, "Great seeing Destro on the thumbnail. 199 Cobra." Nice. Jamaican Bacon says, "Poor Mauler, were you able to enjoy Godzilla Minus One after everyone spoiled the shit out of it for you?" Well, we'll find out because I don't know if he's actually seen it yet. Because he was so wrapped up in getting that Lord of the Rings stream through copyright and everything that he's been basically flat out with that for the past week. And I felt bad for him, man. That was a nightmare situation. But between trying to like shepherd the flock of cats that is us, like all the different content creators that he had to get in one place to watch like 3 lots of 4.5 hour long movies. That was tricky enough, but then getting it through copyright and everything else was an equally big nightmare. So, yeah, I don't think he's seen Godzilla yet. Timothy Finch says, "Wonder how much Disney is regretting losing their Ghibli distribution contract after getting curb stomped by Boy and the Heron." They're just getting destroyed left, right, and center right now. I mean, Godzilla Minus One is totally embarrassing them. If Boy and the Heron does really well, I am more than happy about that. So, yeah. Fuck you, Disney. Rosie McRose says, "Baggage claims should do a video on Craig Ferguson and how he was able to make celebrities seem likable." Yeah, Craig's a good interviewer. He was James Corden's predecessor on The Late Show. And yeah, he's a funny guy. He's just pretty laid back. And I guess I assume this works for everyone, but like the secret, I think, to doing a good interview is just having a conversation with people. The moment it feels like the interviewer is just asking a bunch of scripted questions, it just seems so fake and artificial and boring. You know, just have a chat with them, let them like be themselves. Generally, people relax a little bit then, and their actual personality comes out. So that's what you want. You want to humanize people. It's easier with some people than with others, I guess. Case the Ace says, "Have you seen the trailer for the new A24 film Civil War, about a civil war in modern USA? A24 is great, but the topic is ripe for the message." Yeah, I saw the trailer, and yeah, generally I do like A24. I really like what they represent in terms of low-budget movies that have quite a bit of artistic, you know, intent behind them, usually made by fairly talented people, and, you know, willing to take a few risks and do things that are a bit different. So I like what they produced. They produced a lot of good stuff. And with Civil War, yeah, man, I mean, I'm sure Tim Poe's rubbing his hands like, yes, the Civil War is finally happening on screen. I've been predicting this for the past 20 years. But yeah, overall, I don't know, man. Again, it just feels like it's going to be a bit of a pandering thing. You know, it's going to be all about one side is going to be demonized, the other one's going to be, you know, praised to the high heavens, and yeah, it's just it's probably not going to be a crowd pleaser in the normal sense if it becomes partisan. And yes, I did totally lose my train of thought there. Mohammed E says, "Drinker, since you sailed the high seas to see Godzilla and Mauler waited patiently for it to come out properly, it's only fair that you take him to experience it at the cinema. Hope this super chat helps. Much love to the open bar and cheers." Thank you very much, my friend. And yeah, if I could journey all the way down to Wales to take him to the cinema, I absolutely would. It's probably quite a journey, though, for just like one movie. I'm sure he's capable of getting there by himself. He'll be okay. Don't worry, guys. Even tentacled eldritch beings are able to get to the cinema once in a while, so hopefully he gets to enjoy it. Bowser23 says, Finally got to see Godzilla -1 last night. Gripping and emotional. The atomic breath scenes were amazing. But what was that black mark on Noriko's neck? Yeah, I don't really know what that's meant to represent. Radiation, maybe, because she's been exposed to it. But yeah, why does it move like that? It's a bit weird. It might be one of those things that they don't even really know where they're going to go with it. They're just like putting a bit of sequel bait in. It was a bit odd though, right at the end. But yeah, the atomic breath seems incredible. I think that's probably the most destructive atomic breath I've ever seen. Like, literally triggers a nuclear explosion. Unbelievable moment. Timmy04 says, Muller, I know you haven't seen it in a while, but what is your favorite episode of Firefly? I'm sorry, man. I'm afraid Muller's not here to answer it. And I can't even answer it because I've not seen Firefly. Sorry, mate. Resurrection Joe. Have any of you seen the music videos by the artist Ren? Engaging storytelling and fantastic camera work. I highly recommend Money Game Part 3. Haven't seen it myself, mate, but thanks for the recommendation. Fortune and Glory. I think the best thing for Doctor Who is cancellation. The ratings are still trash. Maybe some better writers can revive it in 20 years like before. Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. I think we've talked about this before, and when people ask me what does Doctor Who need most of all right now, I'd say a rest. You know, it went on hiatus in the late 80s till about, you know, the mid 2000s, and that was good. It just needed that time to become sought after again. You know, people needed a break from it. The writers needed a break. The whole concept needed a rest. And I'd probably just do that. I'd probably do that with a lot of things, actually. You know, give the MCU a rest, give Star Wars a rest. Just stop making this crap that you clearly don't know what to do with anymore. Sandwiches and Mayonnaise says, did you hear about the new Twitch policies? Porn can exist on Twitch now. Yeah, isn't it fantastic? You know, I mean, really, what a wonderful environment that must be now. Yeah, it's insane. It's I think they reversed it like pretty much within a matter of hours, though. Was there not such a backlash to it that they just said, fine, fuck it, we'll just put it back to the way it was? Yeah, I mean, call me cynical if you like. There's just something really shitty about these people sitting there like pretending to like give thoughts on things, pretending to react to stuff, and clearly it's just all about like wearing the low cut top, just getting all the thirst money, and like you're not. What are you doing? Like, what are you contributing to the world? Nothing. Like, are you proud of yourself for that? Do you really feel like you're earning your money there? Like, damn, man. Also, who the fuck pays for that? Like, if you really just want to see like naked people, there's websites for that and it's free. Like, why pay someone? Yeah, it's bizarre. Derek says, have you read anything you can imagine about the making of Lord of the Rings? Some interesting stuff in there. Like, Peter Jackson originally pitched it as 2 films. Harvey Weinstein would only give him 1, so he went to New Line and they offered to make 3. Yes, I know that story. Haven't read the book, but yeah, I know very much that Weinstein was cost conscious and wanted it done as 1 movie. Clearly didn't understand the source material, probably had never read the books, and so didn't understand what would be involved. And yeah, I think it's common knowledge at this point that on a personal level, like, Peter Jackson had no fucking time for Harvey, and I don't blame him one bit. Maybe he had a bit of an inkling about what the guy was really all about. Campbell Patterson says, happy Christmas to all. I hope 2024 is an amazing year for all of you, and don't let any diesels get you down. Yeah, be a Thomas. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And Merry Christmas to you, too. Next one is Sunny Close. What are some plot holes in great movies? Example, in Alien, how does the xenomorph go from 6 inches to 7 feet tall in just a matter of hours? Yeah, I always wondered that. It's a good example, actually, of like, I can get that species can grow very quickly when they need to as a survival mechanism, but you can't just generate mass out of thin air. Like, did it break into supply cupboards and stuff to eat food to allow it to grow so quickly? Yeah, it's a really strange one, that. I'm trying to think of other stuff that came up kind of recently. Yeah, otherwise great movies. Yeah, I'll need to think about that, like other plot holes. Nigel Brayshaw says, there ain't no sanity clause. Don't I know it? Genmai Shah says, what are your guys' thoughts on the live-action Legend of Zelda film? I'm glad because now it's unlikely to be a shared universe with the Mario film. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive Zelda guy. Like, I never played it that much back in the day, so I'm not hugely invested in this movie. Again, with most things like this, I hope they do a good job with it. I want to see more video game adaptations done well, and if they can do it well with this, hey, great. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be a shared universe with Mario because I don't see how those two things are compatible. Cooler says, what the fuck? I watched the Kung Fu Panda trailer, cash grab. To me, it's not canon. What is that one movie that spoiled an otherwise great series of movies for you? I mean, how much time you got? You know, plenty of movies now have spoiled the MCU for me. That much is obvious. TLJ spoiled Star Wars for me. Like, that wasn't an otherwise great series because Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker were both crap as well. Yeah, cash grab movies. Well, probably the Matrix Resurrections as well. Like, as much as Matrix 2 and 3 were not a patch on the original, I could tolerate them and say, well, okay, you know, that's 4 movies. Sorry, that's 3 movies that tell a story. You know, they don't always tell it in the best way, but I can deal with it. And some of the fight scenes and stuff are still pretty good. But yeah, then Matrix Resurrections came along, and it was very obvious what that film was. And yeah, the obvious other one would be Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You know, you had 3 great Indiana Jones films in the 80s. Why would you come and ruin the legacy of that with Crystal Skull? And then why would you do yet another one with Dial of Destiny? None of us needed that. Rainbow Rattle says, Muller, thank you for your Soma talks. I finally checked it out, and now it's one of my favorite stories ever. I'm bugging my brothers and friends to play it. Very cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I'm sure Muller's glad too. Anthony Putch says, would you ever try to get Red Letter Media for a Star Trek happy hour? I would love to do that. I'd love to just sit down with Mike and Rich and just talk for a couple hours about Star Trek. I think we could have great fun. But I don't think it would ever happen because for whatever reason, Red Letter Media just don't really engage with other content creators. Like, it's just been their policy, I guess, from the beginning. And I don't imagine they're going to change that. So they're not going to be coming on anyone's live streams, sadly. It is what it is, though. Dragonic Ice Mage says, Muller, the stream last Saturday reminded me of the beginning of EFAP, and now I have to start over remembering all the memes of streams past. Weird Grapes, the birth of the Cosmic Chicken, and many more. Enjoy G1, lads. Thanks, man. And yeah, it's EFAP has got a long and storied history. I mean, I've been on it loads of times, and even I don't understand all the memes that come up. Land Porpoise says, how do you feel about the slow death of physical media? Happy holidays. Yeah, thanks for that. I do feel sad about it because, as we've all said before, you know, when you've got something on digital download, when you've just got access to it on a server somewhere, you don't really own anything. All you've got is just a access code to redeem it, and that could always get revoked. So I'm still a big proponent of getting those physical media copies. I actually just got a Blu-ray edition of Lord of the Rings just after all our chats recently. So it's like a combined bumper pack with like the theatrical cuts and the extended cuts of all 3 movies on Blu-ray with like Ultra HD and stuff. And it's beautiful. It makes me very happy. And now until the end of time, as long as I've got some kind of Blu-ray player, it can never be taken away from me. So that's nice. Christopher Patchett says, JM's girlfriend had head injuries. That'll be Jonathan Majors, like bruising to the back of the throat. Yeah. I mean, he got found guilty. We'll talk about that on Open Bar tonight. But yeah, man, it seemed pretty damning, the evidence against him. So it is what it is. He certainly paid the price. Senor Hones says, it seems like just last week it was your 75th anniversary. Scenario. Star Wars / Lord of the Ring. Flashes of cringy clips, old man screaming, Tolkien, Lucas sit up in bed, horrible dream, roll reboot. Thoughts? I could live with that. Yeah. Not going to happen, but hey-ho. TJ Jordan says, after the Beverly Hills Cop 4 trailer, I'm starting to wonder if action films are making a comeback, especially after hearing we're getting Bad Boys 4, possibly even Lethal Weapon 5 and Rush Hour 4. I mean, yes and no. Like, I'm very happy to see action movies make a comeback, and I think they're a pretty dependable thing to fill that comic book superhero void that's going to open up pretty soon. Do I want to see all these old franchises with old actors get resurrected? Not necessarily. Like, I don't really want to see Lethal Weapon 5. Like, now they really are too old for this shit. You know, Bad Boys 4, okay. Smith and Lawrence are probably young enough to still get away with it, so we'll let that one slide. Rush Hour 4. But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, I want to see more action movies, and I want to see more R-rated ones like we used to get with actual violence and hopefully a bit of nudity as well. Yeah, stop trying to make everything that appeals to all audiences everywhere. Just start making fun movies again. Mercy Lago AI says Jonathan Majors wants to have Kanye's ego, but he never released Graduation or threatened to go to DEFCON 3. He just doesn't have it. Yeah, I mean, he's a good example, I guess, of like getting ahead of yourself. You know, he was acting like an A-list established star when he was just starting out. You know, his career was just gathering momentum. And to be fair, they were pushing him hard. They were really trying to make him a thing. But yeah, it was too little, or should I say, it was too early in his career for any kind of grandiose statements. And yeah, nobody was going to support him at such an early stage when all these accusations came out. So the result is he's just been dropped like a hot brick, and I don't think anyone's going to pick him up again. I know that a bunch of his movies that were either in development or have already been shot are just dead now. And it makes me feel bad for the people that starred with him. There were probably people in some of these movies, right, that were super excited. This might have been their big break. And then, bam, suddenly Jonathan Majors has been convicted of this shit. And the movie's just dead in the water. And so all that work and those opportunities are just gone now, never get seen. So, yeah, that sucks. Alex Wisecup says, hey, Drinker, would you ever consider having Sitch and Adam on? I think you guys could have some interesting conversations. Sure. Yeah, I'd have them on. They're pretty cool guys. Axel's Abode says, predictions for movies in 2024. What will perform? Dune 2's coming out in 2024, I believe, so I think that'll be fine. I don't know if it's going to be a huge hitter, but it'll yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a good movie, and I think it'll make people happy. In terms of other movies, I'm going to see, because some films have been delayed. Let's see. Movie releases. What's coming up in 2024? Oh, yeah, Joker. I don't know about that, man. I'm still undecided. Deadpool 3, I think, will do fine. You know, it's probably not done on a huge budget, but I think people will watch it just to see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman together. It'll probably be Marvel's last successful film for quite some time. What else is coming? Oh, they're doing a movie about Wicked. That'll probably play well, actually. Bad Boys 4, I think that'll do okay as well, because they're probably quite budget conscious with that one. There's going to be a Knives Out 3, apparently. Oh, I just can't wait for that. Yeah, that's some of the biggies. Gladiator 2. Yeah, I'm not convinced about that at all. Yeah, I can't see that. Can't see that doing well. Ridley Scott's not exactly churning out hits these days. Jordan Stoner says, every time Major's legal defense releases new evidence of his innocence, it seems to make it worse, like the video of him getting out of the taxi. I know. I guess that's the problem you've got when maybe you don't have much of a case to defend your client. You've just got to grasp at straws and hope for the best. And yeah, it's not looking good. It's when they reached out to like his old theater buddies from New York and like tried to get them to like vouch for him. And they were just like, no, he is a dick. We had to work with him, and he really is an asshole. So yeah, not the endorsement they were hoping for. The Big Cheese says, what do you bet in Deadpool 3? They tried to bring in She-Hulk to try and do something smart with the only fourth wall breaking characters. Oh God, why did you have to say that? It's so horrible that it probably could be true. I hope they recognize, like, no, She-Hulk is just going to pull this movie down. This movie's not going to elevate her. Yeah, unless like Deadpool just straight up kills her, in which case, hey, that'll be fine. Adam Milne says, watch Tokyo Godfathers based on recommendation from Super Chat from last stream. It was really good. Also, Big Lizard go silent, then boom. Yeah, exactly. That's a good scene. TJ Jordan. Drinker, what are your thoughts on Jeremy Jahns and the possibility of seeing him on the open bar? Thank you for everything. You're awesome. Yeah, I like Jeremy Jahns. He's quite entertaining. I always like associate him and Chris Stuckman. I guess because they kind of came up around about the same time and they're both kind of same level of popularity. The difference being, of course, that Jeremy Jahns has a personality and a bit of charisma, and actually has something interesting to say about the movies he's reviewing. So, yeah, it's a big difference between him and Chris Stuckman. And yeah, I'd love to talk to him. I have no idea if he does live streams or anything like that. I haven't really seen him appear on anyone's show before. If he's up for it, then so am I. Death Judas says, which is the most destroyed franchise so far? Oof, that is a good question. I would say probably Star Wars. It's a really close one between Star Wars and Marvel. I guess the difference is that Marvel is so huge and they're still producing movies. There's always the potential to still make money. It's kind of like a hollowed out shell of its former self, but it is still standing. Whereas Star Wars is just, it's dead in the water. Like there's no movies. The TV shows are meaningless. Nobody cares about it. It's become culturally irrelevant. So, yeah, Star Wars is probably the more destroyed. The Odd Egg says, hey, Drinker, I wanted to thank you guys so much for the work that you do. You're a huge inspiration that's helped me make it to the 100-page mark. Well done, man, and keep up the good work. And eventually you'll get to be able to type the end and then get it out to publishers. So good luck to you. Your Barmy says, someone told Sean Bean, only take roles you die in. I know. It's a classic meme about him dying and everything. I always quite like Ronan because he doesn't die in that. He just kind of leaves. He walks away in shame, so he gets to survive it. I think there's a great compilation of Sean Bean death scenes that I've used in a few videos, and one of them just fucking baffles me, where he gets like knocked off a cliff by a herd of cows. I don't even know what film it's from. It's random as fuck, but it's great. Elijah Tiemans says, why do Spider-Man and Loki variants vary wildly with female, black, Indian, and Asian versions, but variants of Kang are all just Jonathan Majors in different outfits? Why not white, Asian, or female Kang? I know. I mean, that would have been a solution to their problem right there, because like if you've got infinite variations on Kang, you can cast anyone to play him, and so it doesn't matter if Jonathan Majors isn't around. But yeah, it's a weird one. Paolo's TV says, hey, Movie Cynic, when is BSUP coming back on Monday nights? I was enjoying your show, and then suddenly it stopped. Come on back, mate. Don't know when it's coming back, sadly, but I hope it does. Lord Botha says, Emilia Clarke is like Hugh Grant. I wouldn't go into an action movie starring Hugh Grant. Should stick to romantic comedies and witty side parts. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Grendel Vivat says, The Salvation is a nice Western by Danish writer and director where Mads Mikkelsen plays the protagonist. Also has Eva Green, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Jonathan Pryce. That's a good cast right there. Spark Tepig says, Mads was unironically great in Death Stranding. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a good actor. He can make most parts work, I suppose. Jersey says, check out Emilia Clarke in Podgene. Perfect role playing in a relationship movie about raising an artificial womb baby. Oh, okay. Random, but sure. Carlos Lima says, Eric Roberts, the best of the best film. Oh, yeah. You want to talk about overacting? Fuck me, Eric really goes for it in that film. I remember it. He spends half the finale crying. But yeah, best of the best was pretty good. Boxandu says, hey, Drinker, do you think Amazon will let Henry Cavill respect 40k lore? I don't know if they'll let him, but I think he'll demand it because he's had bad experiences. And I think, if anything, his experiences on The Witcher will have told him, I need it in my contract that I've got creative control here. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, you'll just keep bouncing from failure to failure. If he's allowed to do it right, I think this could be fucking awesome. TJ Jordan, the Argyle trailer only proves that Henry Cavill should be our next James Bond. Yep. But I'm more afraid of how they'll ruin him if they go for it. I mean, yeah, again, you never know what the producers are going to do. Like, we need a modern Bond for modern audiences. No, we don't. We need classic Bond, which is why he stood the test of time. And yeah, in Argyle, he looks cool as fuck. But again, I think he's just a fictional character in the fictional world of that film. You know, he's like it's a movie within a movie kind of thing. So he's not part of the main plot. He's just there to be a figment of the author's imagination. But for what we see him in, he does look cool. Grey Jedi Outcast says, a bit off topic, but have any of you watched Young Sheldon? It's a great and wholesome family show that feels like it's straight out of the 90s. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Be well. Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, I never bothered watching Young Sheldon. I watched a bit of Big Bang Theory back in the day, and wow, that show got old quick. Yeah, I know a lot of people point to it and say, like, this is it. This is the ground zero for the commodification of nerd culture, how it became mainstream and invaded by normies, and it basically was because of shows like that. Not inclined to argue with that too much, but yeah, as a result, I kind of never was that interested in Young Sheldon. Jackson Cagle says, how many times does Bailey say yes? Oh yeah, and that's that interview. Yeah. She's just, yeah, she's very agreeable, I suppose. Peter Garombi says, would you rather spend 24 hours with Rachel Zegler or Mr. Blobby? Choose your fate. Mr. Blobby, for sure, because I feel like we could have more intelligent conversations. I don't know. I don't know what possessed me to put that clip of Mr. Blobby into one of my videos recently. I don't know why, but it really made me laugh. Just the crazy maniacal laugh that he's got when he stood on top of that platform. Yeah, I think we all need more of Mr. Blobby in our lives. The Brits will have got it. They'll have gotten the reference. Probably every American who saw that must have thought, what the fuck is this creature? But yeah, look him up. He's great. The Hidden Duck says, question for Mahler. Why do you hate Alan Wake 2 so much? I watched the entire game walkthrough and my internal wokeometer was pretty chill, except for a couple of cringy lines. Overall, looked like a great and unique game. No idea. In Mahler's case, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't imagine it was because it was woke. He probably had issues with the storytelling and the characterization and the internal consistency rather than like any messaging in it. Rory Swain says, hail to Drinker, Mahler and Co. Have a drink on me for Christmas. Love from Ireland, Slange. Thank you very much, my friend. If I had a glass of whiskey right now, I would toast you. Brian Daigle says, she won't be awake for True Love's kiss. Stays in a coma, no problem. Yep. I mean, that's the modern perception. If you don't get affirmative consent, then he couldn't do True Love's kiss. And so, yeah, she'll just have to stay in a coma forever. Them's the breaks. J Fraser 360. Hail, gents. Whenever I see Russell T. Davies these days, I think back to the quote that he wrote in The Christmas Invasion 2005. Don't you think he looks tired? Oh, that's a good one. I like what you did there. Yeah, I mean, he's older now. He's almost 20 years older than when he was working on it originally. And yeah, he seems just a bit broken down, I guess, now. Maybe a man at a different stage in his life and trying to do the stuff he did when he was young, trying to recapture his youthful creativity and maybe finding that it's not quite there anymore. I don't know, man, but it doesn't look good for him. Simon Ho says, I'm sick of all the gaslighting with race swapping, the cultural appropriation. Shakespeare once wrote, the devil can cite scripture for his purpose, but you should hear it in its original Klingon. That's a good Star Trek 6 reference there. Like it's, yeah, and it is a great quote, actually. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose. You can bend anything around your needs, I suppose, if you're creative enough. And yeah, I think we're all kind of sick of the gaslighting. Brendan Fire says, have any of you noticed how every single Snow White remake since the Disney version has all failed? Funny that, eh? It's almost like they got it right originally. Trevor Wingard says, Mahler, you're doing too much. It's okay if you sleep sometimes. I don't think Mahler really does sleep like us regular humans. He waits for the next live stream. Simon Grindle says, sorry, I'm late. I just finished the original Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Love the career retrospective talk of this stream. That is fucking cool. I'm almost jealous that you got to play Final Fantasy VII for the first time again. Or, you know, I wish I could do that again because it's a hell of an experience. But hope you enjoyed it. The Wicker Man says, Bruce Willis is unfortunately known for a lot of his films even if his acting in them was for a noble cause. I'm not sure what we were referring to there. It's probably actors who are just phoning it in. And yeah, we all know Bruce Willis wasn't exactly giving it his best towards the end, partly, because of his dementia starting to kick in. And sad to see when you look back on it now. I think we were all just like taking the piss out of him at the time, but now we know there was a different reason. Midnight's Edge After Dark. Hello, Tom. JJ was asked to do the trilogy and he said no. That's interesting, actually. So it explains a lot. And I wonder what they had to offer him or threaten him with to get him to come back and do Rise of Skywalker, because he did not want to do that. Carlos Rue says, ever watched Fringe? No. J.J. Abrams' sci-fi show, it was good. I've heard people say that it was decent. So, again, I guess guys like him, they don't come from nowhere. They don't just get picked or win a lottery or something. They must have had some kind of talent, at least early in their careers, to get them noticed at first. But whatever his is, it seems to have deserted him now. And I don't know, man. Maybe he needs some time out from this just to try and find what he wants to do. Like, rather than just resurrecting old franchises or repurposing stuff that's been done before. Like, hey, how about you just come up with an original idea and roll with that? You've probably still got enough pull in Hollywood that you could get something off the ground. Nightmares in Paradise says that Saw 11 is coming in September 2024. I call that epic good luck. I mean, damn, that's fast. They can churn these out pretty quick. Pirate Queen says, let's not forget, JJ didn't film a single scene with Han, Luke, and Leia together. JJ also killed Han Solo in the worst way possible. Yeah, I mean, like, how much of that was JJ? How much was the studio? I'm not sure, because I don't know where these decisions initially come from. But, yeah, nobody will ever forgive him for that, I guess. Matthew A. says, why was Johnson picked? That bugged me. What did he do? Sorry, my internet connection just kind of went weird there. Hopefully people can still hear me on this recording. Yeah, why was Rian Johnson originally picked? It was probably because he was seen as like a promising up-and-coming director. What would he have done before that? It would have been Looper, I would imagine. Let's see. Because he did Brick, which kind of initially got him noticed. And by all accounts, Brick is actually quite good. But yeah, I think Looper was the thing that kind of was his breakout, first big budget thing. Let's see, director. Yeah. God, he's really not done much. So, yeah, Brick, The Brothers Bloom from 2008, then Looper 2012, yeah. And then he did a couple of episodes of Breaking Bad as well, so maybe that was what got him noticed too. But yeah, again, he is a bit of an odd pick, not exactly a well-known director, and it feels like you probably could have found someone a bit more established. And obviously, in retrospect, we know he was a terrible choice for the role. Emmett says, Palpatine's return equals Bird Box's supermarket explanation. Pretty much, yeah. John Nisbaum says, is Solo a contender for worst Star Wars film? No, I don't think so. It's not a good film, that's for sure, but I don't consider it the worst. It's just kind of blandly inoffensive for the most part. I just like forget that it even existed. There's definitely worse ones out there. Telperian says, proposing the idea of doing a third Star Wars trilogy without an outline from the get-go should have been a fireable offense. This isn't the ragtag production from the 70s that was a surprise success. Disney spent $4 billion on LucasArts. I know. I've said this so many times. Like, if you're spending this much money just acquiring the franchise, and then you're going to spend however many more hundreds of millions of dollars on the movie production side of things, have a plan, for fuck's sake. You had long enough to come up with one. Like we've said before, like Muller and me and Gary and a few of the others, we could probably sit down and in the space of a week come up with a really strong outline for a trilogy, a sequel trilogy, and just stick to that. Say we've got the outline, hire some really talented screenwriters to come in and make it a reality, make sure everything stays close to the original outline, and when you get directors in, make sure they play ball. Make sure they realize you're building towards a larger whole here. You're not here to just go off and do business for yourself. It's not that fucking hard. You know, and it's baffling how they did it. It's got to be one of the worst cases of IP mismanagement in all of Hollywood history. Mind-boggling. Jackson Cagle says, maybe someday they'll create a new thing. Lol. Yeah, lol indeed. Don't bet on it. Superfly says, do you guys ever want to like something but just can't? I keep trying to watch Lord of the Rings but keep falling asleep. I'm excited for Mauler's stream but want to understand what is happening. Okay. Yeah, I had this problem back in the day, and it's kind of been alleviated now, but I had that problem with the Godfather trilogy where I recognized intellectually that they were fantastic movies, not so much the third one, but you know, it wasn't personally enjoyable for me to watch. Like, I remember watching the original Godfather, God, it must have been about at least 20 years ago, and just being bored out of my mind. Like, I just wasn't really enjoying it. I didn't get it. I wasn't into like gangster mob movies. And so I just found it really slow and boring. And it's only when I rewatched it in later years, and especially recently, I just got a completely different appreciation for it. But yeah, it is weird when you're watching something like that, and you just have to recognize, like, you know, not every movie is for everyone. Even great movies that are well made, if they don't personally appeal to your interests, it's fine. You don't have to like them. You don't have to enjoy them. I think the problems come in if you start then claiming that they're just bad films because you personally didn't like them. Like, that's a different thing, and it's a trap that you could fall into as a movie critic for sure. So yeah, it's something to be aware of. But yeah, it's fine. You don't have to enjoy everything. Warrior Poet says, Hail Drinker, from the Duelists with a budget equal to a bottle of Glenmorangie to the $300 million shit show that is Napoleon is the perfect encapsulation of Hollywood. Yes, it is. It really is. Godzilla -1 is a perfect example of how you can make a great, fun, crowd-pleasing movie on a really small budget and make it work and make it not look cheap. So the amount of wastage and bloat and excess in Hollywood is unbelievable. And yeah, they deserve to fail since they're that fucking arrogant about it. Yeah, I want to see a change come about, and I think we will start to see it. They will start cutting the budgets of movies, and it'll force creativity. It'll force innovation. Sith Cake says, New Rose looks like ludicrous. Reminds me of that scene from Bad Boys 2. Oh, brutal. Kino Reviews says, goals of the woke left. Gain as much power as possible, destabilize the system, attack capitalism, usher in their Marxist utopia. Everything they do is designed to achieve one or more of those goals. Wow, brutal. Yeah, man. Jay Greenlee says, don't know about all of you, but Capaldi's Zero was half terrible and half great. Heaven Sent being my favorite, second being The Doctor Falls. Yeah, it was, I guess it was characterized by a steep decline in quality because he was coming off the David Tennant era. And so, yeah, it was, oh no, sorry, Matt Smith. David Tennant, I'm getting my doctors mixed up. Yeah, he was coming off the Matt Smith era, which was still pretty solid for the most part. It's just the quality dipped quite considerably during his run. But it was sad in the sense that he was still giving it his best. So, yeah, the guy really wanted to do it. Namil Yaram says, seeing Godzilla tomorrow at the IMAX, I am excited. You should be excited, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. Svanti says, the reason Gunn keeps casting relatives is not for their talent, whereas the reason Scorsese keeps hiring the same guys is that they're all stellar at their craft. Yes, exactly. I'm fine with using the same actors on multiple movies, although I would say with Scorsese, you could branch out a little bit, you know. There's guys other than like De Niro and DiCaprio in the world, but yeah, fine. Be that as it may, they're both fantastic actors and they can always pull it out the bag when they need to. Sean Gunn is not a great actor. And he is just one of those guys that stands out like a sore thumb in a movie like that because you just look at him and think, why the fuck are you in this film? Oh, yeah, because you're Sean Gunn. That's the reason. It just becomes really distracting after a while. Randy Slicker says, go watch Hell of a Boss, a crowdfunded adult animated comedy with amazing pathos, funny risque humor, and solid character writing. It's a progressive show that isn't woke or pearl clutching over comedy. Nice. Well, that's a rare thing these days. Jen Mai Cha says, as a bundle of sticks myself, seeing Davies, Netflix, BBC, or Disney proselytizing The Message is peak cringe. Be thankful for living in the safe West. We do, yeah. Yeah, I can totally get why you don't want to be pandered to by them. AG says, hail panel, thank you for reviewing the Doctor Who specials. This show was my favorite from 2010 until 2017, and it makes me depressed watching it now. yeah, I'm out now. I came back out of morbid curiosity just to see the specials, and I wished I hadn't. Steve O'Devil says James should cast Jimmy Urine and Chantal Claret. Okay. Marky Mark says funds for Baggage Claim, lady to buy and watch the latest 70s and 80s movies. We need to relearn good storytelling. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Lost 77. Good evening, all. I was wondering if you think bad movies can still be fun to watch, and what's everyone's favorite bad movie and why? They can absolutely be fun to watch. In fact, there's a whole industry around it. Yeah, man, I think there's a lot to be said for a bad movie that's like unintentionally hilarious, and you could just like kind of laugh at the failures or the cast or the director like overreaching themselves. You know, it's fun sometimes. And I think my favorite bad one is probably Street Fighter the movie. Yeah. It's just a disaster from start to finish. But man, Raul Julia just absolutely going for it and delivering like this like theatrical level performance is just fantastic. Love it. Mr. Reekson says, Drinker, have you ever watched any of Roger Moore's non-Bond films like Shout at the Devil or Folks? I think you'd enjoy them. I've seen a few, yeah. Wild Geese, he was decent enough in that. There was another one, and I think it was called North Sea Hijack, and it had Anthony Perkins in it as well. And I think they went out to make a conscious effort for him to play the opposite of Bond. Like his character was like everything Bond wasn't. He was like unfashionably dressed. He had this really shitty, scraggly beard because Roger Moore can't grow a beard to save his life. He wasn't a ladies' man. I remember he just actually seemed to actually despise the women around him for some reason. And yeah, he was just like this crotchety old guy, and it was just very different. So yeah, he can play other roles for sure. I think Roger Moore gets a lot of shit for being like an overactor or whatever, but I think he's an immensely charming man, or at least he was back in the day. And I've got a lot of time for him. And weirdly, compared to like someone like Daniel Craig, I think he was really grateful to play Bond. He always seemed to say good things about him, like the character. He always seemed to have fond recollections of doing it. And I think there's a lot to be said for a guy who just appreciates what he's got in life. Levi Holler says, Hail Drinker and Panel, here's something for a bottle for the holidays. Thank you very much, my friend. That was $100. A bit of an off question for this forum, but did anyone watch the Game Awards recently? Highlight for me was seeing Mackie flounder a bit on stage. Also, Baggage Claim, try out They Live, classic 80s film. They Live is a fantastic film, yeah. I did a whole happy hour special on it. Yeah, fucking Rowdy Roddy Piper in a movie with Keith David. It's great. Yeah, I didn't see the Game Awards, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know what went on with Mackie. But I appreciate the donation, my friend. Rated M says, what's everyone's favorite romance/drama? Romance. Okay. God, I'm trying to think of a half decent one from. I'm kind of drawing a blank here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I always liked. Yeah, I suppose I really like the relationship between John and Erin in Farscape, because they, how can I put it? They didn't just rely on it being the will they, won't they forever. They eventually had to move beyond it, but they did it in a way that actually worked pretty well, because they had a version of John that Erin fell in love with, pass away, and then they got like reunited, but it was really awkward and difficult after that. And I think the two characters kind of complemented each other really well. They had like different strengths, different perspectives and stuff, but there was like a mutual respect there. And man, didn't hurt that Claudia Black was hot as fuck as well. It was always good. Blue Collar Loser says, this will be on catch up. You're right about that. Dark Hour hit 3,000 subs after last open bar. I hit 2,000 this week. Congratulations. Small for some, but thank you and Muller for helping us both. Nah, you deserve it, man. And yeah, well done. Keep that channel growing. Pineappleton Pizza says, being fans of Star Wars, any one of you watch the Star Wars Holiday Special? If so, what are your thoughts? 'Tis the season. No, I can't bring myself to watch it. I've seen segments from it, obviously. Like Carrie Fisher, very obviously coked out of her mind. Harrison Ford wishing he was dead, but never watched the whole thing all the way through, and I don't think I ever will. And I'm okay with that. Cannon Folderall says, Drinker and Mauler, love the catch-ups. They have the same wholesome energy as Ringo answering Margie's fan mail 30 years later in The Simpsons. Cheers. Thanks, man. Yeah, sadly, Mauler couldn't be for this one here because he is busy at the moment. But yeah, I enjoy doing the catch-up streams. I think, you know, open bar is great fun, but there's obviously a kind of manic energy to it where you've got loads of guests and everyone's talking all at the same time and stuff. And it's nice to just take the time to have a chat together and just kind of tackle each question and give it the time that it deserves. So I like the more laid-back feel of Last Orders. Habitual Nerd says, do you have any plans to do more movie commentaries? Yes, we do, actually. We're going to one day work our way through the Star Trek movies. I was going to say Star Wars. So I think I'm going to do that with Mauler, and he's got some movies in mind for me as well. So yeah, we'll definitely do more. It's just finding the time. Tom Borapair says, have you seen Mr. In Between? Best show / film from Australia. I haven't seen it, I'm afraid. No, I've heard good things, though. Durkin says, I'd like to offer Pathan as candidate for Best Movie of the Year. As an agent action movie, it does pretty good, pretty much everything well. Well worth a review. Nice, okay. Pathan. Is that like a Bollywood one or something? Hold on. So, oh yeah, it's an Indian one. So, yeah. I love the covers of Indian movies, man. They always look epic. Like, everyone's insanely gorgeous. There's explosions. There's dudes with big muscles. There's guns going off. They always look like classic 80s action movie kind of posters. They always look great. Shandy says, is there any optimism for the new Doctor? Not from me. The Shadow says, Columbo has been my current favorite detective show. Love the character, and it's a breath of fresh air compared to the over-edited schlock they're churning out to hide the bad writing. Columbo was always good fun back in the day. Peter Falk was always pretty reliable in the role, you know, like the kind of disheveled detective. Yeah, I like how he uses that to catch people off guard. I always liked Hercule Poirot. I love that fucking waxed mustache. That was just great. One day I'm going to get one myself. And I think for me, I always liked that sort of 1920s Agatha Christie aesthetic in detective stories, you know, like the cozy mystery, the murder that happens in a country house somewhere with like exotic rich guests and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's quite cool. I like that. I feel like Rian Johnson is slowly tarnishing my love of that genre, but you know, for now it's okay. 200 Watt Studios says Godzilla -1 got extended again through December 21st and added theater screens to 2,600 in America. That is awesome. I think they've actually extended it till January now. It's gone again. It's just one of those ones that just kept growing and growing. I love that. Love seeing the word of mouth just increasing for it. Jay Fraser says, Drinker and Mauler, have you read the comic or listened to the audiobook of William Gibson's Alien 3? I recommend the Audible adaptation for Michael Biehn and Lance Henriksen reprising their roles. No. Sounds pretty cool, though. Croak says, D.E. Eiderman does whatever a D-Eider can. All right, okay. It's the Spider-Man thing. The Hidden Duck says, my co-workers got mad at me because I was referring to Peter as Spider-Man and Miles Morales as Miles Morales. Well, you need to find new co-workers then, clearly. Fucking hate that debate, man. It's so tedious. Nemsai says, did you see that Alan Wake 2 won Best Narrative? Fair play. I still haven't played it, I'm afraid. Shandy says, new viewer, big drinker. What is your favorite Doctor Who episode? Mine is Water on Mars because the Doctor is in conflict with not breaking the rules and doing the morally right thing to break him. That is a good episode. I like The Empty Child from the Christopher Eccleston era, just because it was nice and creepy and it had a pretty cool resolution. And probably Genesis of the Daleks. I think that's probably my favorite overall Doctor Who. Thought that was great. Gigachad says, have you all seen Michael Mann's Collateral? Good rat. Yeah, it's not bad. Kevin Christ says, Drinker, a while ago I recommended Branded, a sci-fi movie with Ed Stoppard. Everyone should watch to understand the psychology and dangers of marketing. Should have told you it's similar to They Live. Ah, okay. Now you've got me. Twopocalypse7 says, "Hey Drinker, can I recommend the TV show Slow Horses?" Yes, that's Gary Oldman, isn't it? It's about MI5 rejects who find themselves in high-stakes situations. Perfect combination of tense and humor. Oh yeah, there you go. Did I mention that Gary Oldman's in it? Yeah, I've heard nothing but good stuff about it. Nima Lotus says, recommendation for another happy hour, The 13th Warrior. And cheers to you, brilliant lads and lady. Thank you. And yeah, I've already done a review, actually, of 13th Warrior. It's on my second channel. So yeah, go see it. But it's a good film. TKD Boy says, finally got to see Open Bar live. Have a round on me. Thank you. And I'm sorry I'm not replying to your super chat live. Michael Lee says, Godzilla -1 cast interviewed was so aware of the cultural impact and legacy of Godzilla in Japan's history and sincerely grateful to be part of it, trying to live up to those high standards. Polar opposite of Hollywood and Zegler. I know. Fucking hell. Can we just take all of like Japanese filmmaking culture and just bring it over here and nuke what we have over here? Because they get it. They just get it. They get how to make movies. They get how to like appeal to their audience. They get how to be respectful, and we just fucking don't anymore. The Grey Ghost says, Christmas Vacation. Sounds good. Deus Pigeon. Well, how was Napoleon, and would a Sharp cameo make it better? Sharp cameos would make anything better. I wanted to see Sharp appear in Lord of the Rings. Just like Boromir throws off his cloak, and it's just like a green rifle jacket underneath, and he just starts capping off shots at the Uruk-hai. Yeah, let's try and use your bow and arrows now, Buster. But yeah, Napoleon was pretty shit. As a historical epic, it was awful. Completely misrepresents history, battles, Napoleon's personality, and his actual history. So, yeah, pretty shit film overall. John Goetz says, if you ever want an in-depth talk on the writing decline from previous games in Spidey 2, I'll happily write a dissertation for you. You know that Insomniac horribly fell off. My favorite dev ever. Yeah, apparently they did. While the swinging is improved, the combat was horribly simplified, and Miles constantly saves Peter and keeps getting extra powers, plus ruins Peter's black suit arc by removing it for him. It's sad. I know, it's almost like they're doing everything in their power to make Miles Morales happen and to push Peter into the background. Funny that, eh? Thomas Datillo says, Muller, you need to check out Lion in Winter, Sir Anthony's first film, plus Peter O'Toole and Timothy Dalton. Also, it's a Christmas film. What's not to like then? And Evan Smith says, started Farscape, it's amazing. With -1 embarrassing the West truly is telling that Hollywood is no longer understands filmmaking as an art form. Do you think we'll have shows like that again? Yeah, I mean, they can still get made, but they need to be called out when they do. Like I just did a review for Blue Eye Samurai. Fucking loved it. Thought it was great. And it was made over here. I mean, it was a joint American and French production, which probably explains why the art style looks so good. But yeah, it's like largely Western writers, and they produced a good story. It can be done, but like, man, they've got to be rewarded when they do it. You know, we can't just criticize the bad stuff. We have to praise the good stuff as well. And that's what I keep trying to do. So yeah, I think we will see it again because money will eventually kick in and it will run out. And then they've got no choice. But anyway, that is the last of the super chats. So I'm going to go away and get myself mentally and physically and spiritually prepared for open bar. And by that, I mean, I'm just going to crack open the beers. And I'll be doing that in a few hours. So thank you for all those lovely super chats. I know it was just me today, but hopefully I didn't bore you to death too much. And I will see you then. But for now, at least, that's all I've got for this afternoon. Go away now.